KlarGeld in 8 minutes. Time well spent for more time in your life. Today, what is inflation? When we hear the word inflation, we often think of dramatic stories of currencies losing their value overnight, people going to the baker with wheelbarrows full of money to buy a loaf of bread, or the rapid price increase that drives living costs to unreachable heights. These extreme examples are known as hyperinflation. But the idea behind it is not so far-fetched. Hyperinflation is an extreme phenomenon that occurs only under certain economic misdevelopments, but it serves as a dramatic example of how important the stability of money's value is for our economy and everyday living standards. Inflation, derived from the Latin inflatio, meaning swelling, originally referred to the expansion of the money supply, but in the late 20th century, its meaning shifted. Today, inflation refers to the rate at which the general price level of goods and services rises, which simultaneously reduces the purchasing power of money. This change in definition shifts the focus from the money supply to prices. Inflation is usually measured by the Consumer Price Index, which tracks the price changes of a virtual basket of goods. However, the accuracy of this measurement is controversial, as it depends on the selection of goods, regional differences, and changes in quality. For example, assets like stocks and real estate are excluded from this Consumer Price Index, which means that the official inflation rate does not match the actual price change. Moreover, the definition of the inflation rate is not set in stone. Products in the Consumer Price Index can be swapped, and the measurement period for this index can be enlarged or reduced. Additionally, this figure is an average, and can vary significantly from person to person. Therefore, theoretically, each individual should measure their own inflation rate by comparing all their purchases with those from the previous year. However, this is practically impossible, even if one's buying behavior does not change. A price change is not always evident through an actual change in price, but could also depend on the quantity of content or changes in quality and production costs. How does inflation arise and who controls it? In our current financial world, the level of inflation is a result of the interest rate policy of central banks. Interest rates are the price one pays for borrowing money, or the price one receives when lending money, expressed as a percentage of the borrowed amount over a certain period. If interest rates are very high, only a few people can borrow money from banks. However, if interest rates fall, more people can borrow money from banks. Since we no longer have a gold standard since 1971, our current money is largely created out of nothing. Taking out a loan from a bank thus increases the money supply of our currency. Inflation subsequently occurs as soon as this new money enters the economic cycle. This does not happen suddenly, but affects the prices of the products that were purchased with it slowly and initially very specifically, as this new money reduced the supply. When further goods and services are purchased with this money, this effect also impacts those and slowly spreads throughout the entire economy. For example, a loan is taken out to buy a car. The total money supply of the currency in which the loan was taken out is approximately increased by the amount of the loan. A precise value cannot be generalized due to regional differences. In most developed countries, between 90 and 99% of the amount of a bank loan is newly created. Once the car is purchased with this money, the newly created money enters the economy. The seller of the car spreads this money further into the economy. He has building costs, personnel costs, manufacturing costs, or invests in the stock market. The money gradually spreads throughout the entire economy. It has the greatest impact on the future price of the car at this dealer since his supply has now decreased. The second greatest impact is on the future prices of the goods that the dealer bought with the new money. From this example, we learn two things. An expansion of the money supply does not affect all goods equally, but affects some products much more strongly than others. And secondly, it requires many more transactions until the new money reaches all regions and all products of the virtual shopping basket. There is thus a time delay in the effect of the expansion of the money supply on the official inflation rate. It is also important to remember that the repayment of the loan can also affect the prices of goods. If the car loan must be repaid monthly, other areas of life will have to cut back, thus reducing demand. This can even lead to a temporary reduction or stabilization of the prices of the virtual shopping basket, even though the total money supply has been increased. In the long term, the new money will also spread over these products so that prices rise over the term of the loans. A look at the money supply of our currencies tells us that these terms are practically infinite at low interest rates, and therefore more and larger loans are taken out, which affect prices in all areas. Therefore, we can assume in inflation over several years that the prices of goods for which loans are taken out potentially rise more than the prices of other goods. However, it is important to note that the actual price development is influenced by a variety of factors, including global economic trends, supply shocks, and structural changes in the economy. With this, we come to the end of today's video. Today, we have only scratched the surface of the complex topic of inflation and its causes, specifically the expansion of the money supply. Inflation is a complex phenomenon with numerous causes and far-reaching effects that affect all of our lives. In future videos, we will explore further causes as well as the direct and indirect consequences of inflation. Together, we will explore whether and under what circumstances inflation can actually be beneficial and when it might harm us. Did you like the video? Then subscribe to KlarGeld and share it. Do you have any criticisms, questions, or ideas for future videos? Write it in the comments. Be there next time when we discuss who benefits from the expansion of the money supply.